And of course, that next section is right now. Section 15, let's go. The whereabouts of the human order. Ho ho. Just when I had felt a peculiar spiritron reading, it appears to be just as I have thought. You servants, so it seems you are able to move in spirit form. Knowing that, you ordered your guards to retreat. Has Shi Huangdi's blade gotten too dull? I've scanned you countless times, but there appears to be no reaction of explosive material on you. The only weapon you have is but a dagger. And how do you intend to harm my sacred frame with that? So long as there is a way to sneak into your bosom, then whatever happens afterwards, happens. Unless one is resolved to deal with such situations, they can't qualify as an assassin. Assassin. Somehow I have some memory of something like that, but... I see, so this is the Apocrypha of history. Truly a peculiar thing. And up to this point, you have forgotten my face. It has been 2,263 years of my reign. How many times do you think I have had assassination attempts? There is no end to the schemes devised, having felt threatened by the secret to immortality. Don't get too full of yourself. Do you really think that you are my sworn enemy? However, the me from long before you have arrived definitely handled the search for immortality rather poorly. Now that I look back, it was good that I was impeded by that. Very much so that I would like to reward you. Huh? You would give me a medal? You who had managed to break through my retainers and reach Zhanyang. I personally bestow upon you the honor of verifying the apocryphal human history. And so you would preach to me now? The pan-human history. Such a conceited title. Arrogance that asserts itself as the very mainstream of history. And yet despite so, you all appear to be grounded in righteousness. Thus, it is only logical that you're morally bound to accept that which is more correct. Ha! He thinks logic matters. Righteousness? Are you saying there's righteousness in your rule? Monopolizing all of the authority, plucking off the buds of knowledge from the people, comfortably utilizing massacre if things look sour. Is that what you really call righteousness? Indeed, it is righteousness. For the glory of the species that is man, is this not the greatest just cause in the world? But that which can be called man is none other than your very self. Indeed. By aggregating the activities of the land to a single point, to this very throne, I have become the ultimate man. In your pan-human history or whatnot, was there a figure that rose as high as I did? Behold the great wall in the sky. Behold the fertile lands. Were there others that could achieve such endeavors? Humans are the ones who have achieved nothing despite forming crowds. Discord, differences, and contradictory interests that shackle and bring each other down. Therefore, there is no need for space between man. There is no need for a classification. Only the supreme Zhenren that has achieved the ultimate end can be the ruling species that judges the skies and controls the earth. Absolutely disgusting. To hear this from a Genren. Do you really insist on calling this hideously bloated mechanical body of yours a man? Huh. I do not believe that flesh and limbs alone are enough to qualify one as a man. Do you not think that what man must really possess is responsibility? Yes, the responsibility to shoulder all of the world and its inhabitants, and the fate of this planet. Oh, pan-human history. Are you the species that will select extinction? Are you able to decide the amount of carbon that pollutes the atmosphere? Are you able to stop the melting of the polar ice caps? Are you able to control your kind's endless desires? I am able to do it. I alone am able to administrate this world as its arbitrator. Therefore, I am man, the only one in this world who can shoulder all of these responsibilities. So you declare that this world is the very completed shape of your reign? Indeed. How loose-lipped of you, Shi Huangdi. Completed, in short finished, and thus concluded. The history that you rule over can no longer advance any further. It has reached an impasse. Since becoming a servant, I have learned of many people of different times and different periods. As a heroic spirit, I've watched over the possibility of man's future. You told me to look up at the Great Wall in the sky, didn't you? Ah, that tells us the very limits of your eternal Qin Empire. It seems that you have built this protective wall fearing the outside world of stars. That itself is great absurdity. Indeed, in the 2018 years of pan-human history, such technology and plans to achieve such feats have yet to happen. But if they were to mobilize the same resources, they will seek to develop the very ends of the cosmos. Is this not mere bragging from a sore loser? Jing Ke adds on, describing how this Qin Empire is yet to achieve something the pan-human history already has. And she reveals within her hands a smartphone. What on earth is this toy? If you think it is a toy, then run a scan on it. Isn't analysis your forte? What can such a kind of a tiny device? What is this? That is a complicated calculation tool. Its measurements are likely the same as the parts that are used in your frame. Can any of them exhibit the same kind of performance as this thing, I wonder? How pointless. Certainly I praise your efforts to be able to contain this much performance into such a miniature size. But this degree of processing power doesn't compare to even a million's worth of mine. In pan-human history, there are 4 billion of that very device. What's that? And for people of pan-human history, that device is treated as a personal item. Absolutely absurd! The pinnacle of foolishness! Distributing something similar to my capacities to the vulgar masses on top of miniaturizing it. What meaning is there in such an unruly act? With no one controlling the unhesitating desires of the masses, there's nothing but the fate of depleting the planet of its resources.
If that's what you think, then you have failed to understand what this device is truly for. This thing is not fundamentally a calculating device. This is nothing more than a communications device that is able to advance into having calculations abilities.
Communications?
That's right. Expanding their knowledge, thinking, and cooperating to achieve a far more optimal outcome. This is just one of the tools they use for such a purpose. Citizens that constantly seek to develop means of correspondence. Citizens that seek to pave the ideal path of mutual understanding that may also bring mutual prosperity. These are the man of the pan-human history. In other words, the people.
The people? Citizens, and furthermore, man, you say?
As you proclaim, there are no end to their disputes. For all citizens to live as man, to reach mutual agreement, for the day that they may embrace common ideals, it is still far away. And there is still a pessimistic belief that they may perish without seeing such a day, or if this star withers away. Yet even so, we have not finished yet, because we are incomplete. Therefore, we can aim for even greater heights. Unlike this completed utopia, born from your own self-righteousness, the people have been walking, their eyes fixed on a far and distant future.
Such splendor is but a fictitious fantasy. There is no definite promise, is there?
Ah. It is but a dream. It may dissipate like an illusion, but that's why someone will pray and make a wish. Humans, humanity, they will aim towards the next territory that they have yet to see. Those who dream of such become heroic spirits, and we are summoned in response to the prayers of those who pray. That is a servant, the agent of the counterforce. Existences that until recently would never have had appeared in your eternal reign.
I see. This risky gamble is what you call righteousness. Dangerous. It's very dangerous indeed. A world that walks on a tightrope where a single mistake can render all for naught. I declare that I will not accept it.
I'd figured that would be the case. That's why neither of us will concede. Whichever will collapse, whichever will inherit this star.
Such a bold declaration. Once more I ask, with that crude dagger, who do you plan to slay me? The defense mechanisms of the Yipeng Palace already have you on target. You will be swiftly evaporated without hesitation.
It looks like you still haven't understood anything yet. The pan-human history has something of an advantage with regards to communications and information. And for the pan-human history that has endless strife, they've acquired wicked tools out of all kinds of technology. This is not something I'm boasting about, though. Surely you wouldn't have thought of such a thing, right? There's a fatal poison for calculation devices that can be transmitted simply through communications.
What? You... That toy...
Ah, it looks like you were too engrossed in that noble debate. Unfortunately, my objective from the very start was to come here and kill you. When you thoroughly analyzed the circuits of that communications device, I also spurred you on so that you would take it in carelessly.
my... now. Name... That's right. The assassin that crossed 2,200 years to deliver your last rites. That is me. Humu. Bravo. What? Jing Ke. This time I shall carve that name to memory. The woman that managed to instill fear not once, but twice to I. How could this happen? And I said such brash things to Gouda, too. How pathetic. It looks like I was too stubborn. In the end, to fail to deliver one last move is my destiny, huh? That is wrong, Jing Ke. That duty of yours as a heroic spirit will have the last laugh very much because of that mistake. Know that there is such abruptness. Ooh. Chat, can we get some salutes for Jing Ke? She did good work. But she's not coming home. As we make our way through the residential area, Mordred's worried that the Great Apang Palace would suddenly fall and crush us. Cheng Gong also expresses concerns about Shi Huangdi's sudden silence. Neja says she hopes that Jing Ke's mission went well. But Mash and Holmes are both a bit worried as there's been no communications from her since. In any case, our next stop is the treasury of the Apang Palace. Koyanskaya recommends stopping by the technology department along the way to get the shadow border. Unless we've decided to leave it behind, of course. Ah, shadow border! It's far from being a formula machine, but it's a precious vehicle that we've shared our joys and hardships within. I wonder if it's been left unscathed, though. I wonder now. Those car-like things from yesterday were pulled apart all over. Don't talk about it like it's someone else's problem. If that happens, then nobody will be able to leave from this Lostbelt. There it is! Yatta! Fo! Ha ha! Oh. It seems that Shi Huangdi is a very meticulous personality when it comes to puzzles. It looks as though, even though some parts were removed for analysis, they returned to their original places. Shi Huangdi has a talent as a first-rate model maker. With this, we've got a reliable source of power back. Ah, thank goodness. I'm in such a great mood as if I got back my favorite blanket. Hey, this box's label says spare screws, right? Okay, it looks like I still can't forgive Shi Huangdi. She purposely put on glasses to say that. Da Vinci says, since we're tight on time, checks will have to be done later. She orders us to prepare to start up the engine at the shadow border to make our exit. Hey? Are these the kind of people that were attacking us? Just a bunch of scrawny kids, just a group of kids and a scrawny person? Is this really Caldia?
Ara, Han Shin-san, it's been a long time. Han Shin, one of the 3 heroes of the Han Dynasty.
So he was supporting the Qin Empire of this Lostbelt. I ain't a commander of Qin anymore. I was released from my duties earlier. That's why there's no reason to fight.
As if you thought I'd just see you off without doing anything?
Chenggong, Tono. That man's smile. Yes, it's the kind of mannerism we've seen plenty of times whilst under our service to Lord Lu Bu.
You, even your laugh drips with the smell of blood. I couldn't care less about a reason. I just want to have war, all right? I've also called over these guys and others who won't be able to remain satisfied if things continue like this. So go on, engage in war with me for the sake of it, for the sake of my own excitement in facing a strong adversary.
In that place called Lishan, they had stored these types of war commanders.
And Shin Liang-yu-san was such a peace-loving person.
Liang-yu-tan?
Ah, that guy was really moe, right? So innocent and naive. Well, 'cause if you've only been out of Lishan 2 or 3 times, you won't become so twisted. I, on the other hand, have been indulging in war with His Majesty long since his birth. I crushed India. I destroyed Egypt. Even Roma was smashed down by me. I haven't seen any of the peace times at all. All those times I was frozen into sleep. Well, of course, if a crazy dog like you were around, there wouldn't be anything like a peaceful place.
Anshin goes on to add that the perpetuity of peace times achieved by the Qin Empire have left no enemy countries left to fight against.
So I'm real grateful for your appearance. As you're a new enemy to crush after my supposed final skirmish against the Azteca Republic. Now, your chaotic world absent of Qin, those killing techniques you fostered, please directly exhibit them. Amazing! A fight to the death really is the best. Ah, I just love war. How can this be? Just from different commands, the strength of the soldiers can change this much. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've traced the true fear of a great commander.
In worlds riddled with strife, sometimes monsters like these may appear. Though that said, this man, his military tactics, aren't they superior than those of that Zhuge Liang? Uh-oh. You seem to be enjoying yourself, peerless warrior.
Oh my, Captain of the Guard, are you sure? Someone so stubborn like you wanting to join in on this boisterous racket.
Watching over you until the end was the order handed out by His Majesty.
He was really a great emperor. To be worried about trash like me until the very end.
Matakura. Certainly. The captain of the guard expresses his own concern for Han Shin as well, and says that he'll decide to join forces with him. And after a bit of jovial banter between those two,
with the style of beast that failed to gain the tranquility of everlasting peace.
That old man, as a living human, he intends to fight barehanded against servants. He's totally sane. So sane that it surpasses insanity. Properly focus on that Oji-san with all your might. Though I did drop my guard, that fist was able to make my spiritual core faint in a single strike. That peerless warrior is not a sole person. Behind the greatest commander is the greatest of martial arts. You must certainly not let your guard down. I remember the Li Shuwen fight. He was rough. Amazing. What on earth was that person? The enemy camp has been rendered harmless, but... Ah, that's enough. They don't have the spare strength to stand up anymore. Seriously, this China really is a nest of monsters. Normally you wouldn't hone your tactics and techniques this far. Let's hurry ahead. Likely we're close to the Fusang tree.
Hanshin, are you still there? Are you still breathing?
Unfortunately, yes. Leaving us behind without dealing the final strike. What an ill-mannered bunch.
But it was a refreshing outburst of violence. This building will not hold for long. If you can still stand, please quickly leave now.
You know, it's been a long time since I had such a great battle that left me unable to get up. Well, maybe I actually dislocated my back. Anyway, now I just feel like sitting here.
Good grief.
You know, did you misjudge the distribution of your stamina? You thought you'd be able to match up to the same pace as your younger self.
I'm absolutely ashamed. Though I personally received instruction from His Majesty on the Shan Path, I had also aged a little 150 years.
You should have just come to Li Shan. Why bother stubbornly continuing to serve the royal court? I would have liked to see you in your prime. He must have had quite the thunderous skill.
Well, there was a period when I was all vigorous over the no second strike, but... Indeed, time is like an arrow. The months I spent with His Majesty. They truly were.
What an envious fellow, keeping a face as though he's sleeping.
Very soon, Audia's faction will arrive at the Fusang tree in the treasury. The divine mystery that is the very cornerstone of Qin's eternal peace will fall into the hands of barbarians. Nay, now the Fusang tree's existence has a far greater meaning to it. Is that right, you? The battle that will decide the fate of this world. And you would still like for me to be in a place far apart from that decisive battle.
Yes, it is certainly a foolish wish which I am well aware of, but I no longer want to see Lord Zhang Yu have to wave his spear. My wish is just this very one thing. Even if what lies ahead is my destruction.
But now the world is truly in chaos. The peace of the world will be shaken. I am not equipped with the functions to overlook this. Please forgive me, you. I cannot change my way of life.
I suppose that is so. You are such a person after all. Then at the very least, allow me to accompany you. Please, let this you serve by your side until the very end.
And here it is, chat. We've reached the end. Section 16. Let's go to the final part of this story. Section 16. Crimson Beauty Under the Moon. So this is the Palace of Treasures. Such artifacts beyond our wildest imaginations.
Wow! If not because of our current situation right now, we could have spent 3 days and nights just inspecting the area. What you're looking at here are the expedition results from the Zhan world, exhibited in this one huge corridor. The sample of the barks and leaves of the Fusang tree should be right here. Here, here. Yes, now, if you excuse me, I'm going to borrow this. Hi. What's left would be to utilize the formula to harmonize the ingredients if you know how to. And 5 minutes is all you'll need. Now, I guess we're done with what we need to do here. How about we join our hands and pay our respects considering we're all the way here? To the Fusang tree, I mean. The tree should be moved and located at the deepest level after extracting it from the Zhan world.
I have to admit, I'd be lying if I'm not interested in it at all. But rather, I say I'd like to accept the offer since I'm obligated to give an inspection as a detective, but...
Holmes?
Considering Miss Koyanskaya's manner of speech on how she purposely led us all the way here for some reason, it does require me to be slightly careful about it.
Arama. What a suspicious gentleman you are. But I think we might be a little too late on that. You Miao Yi! Even Zhang Yu is here!
Oh shit. Looks like we have some troublesome guests appearing together. So that's how it is.
What now? You're telling me you've hit another prediction here?
Rather, you should say I hit a jackpot on the Fusang tree by instinct.
Yeah, come to think of it, you did tell us this before. If Consort Yu were to appear once again, it would be without a doubt the place where the fantasy tree is located.
So the Fusang tree is the fantasy tree. Since when exactly did you realize that? No, it's only on the realm of instinct, you see. At any rate, the whole concealment of the fantasy tree makes absolutely no sense to me. Then in that case, it's a given that you'll suspect that this particular existence holds the biggest mystery and unknown factors in this particular Lostbelt.
Even if I were to assume you to be an individual known as the emissary of the alien god here, to think that you would knowingly bring our enemy all the way to the root of the fantasy tree. Now tell me, what are you up to, Koyanskaya? What am I planning, you ask? I'm just doing my job here. I've told you this already since the beginning, Gu-chan. You really shouldn't play riddles with Claudia, because you're dealing with investigators who are capable of displaying their ability to verify answers in a cheating level.
So don't think of it as being exposed, instead bringing them all the way here. Therefore, Dakara, all you'll need to do next is to utilize the power of the fantasy tree as the guillotine. And then you, my dear Cryptor, will be the executioner for this job. Now, if you could please get the job done and execute them all, my dear true ancestor of the Zhan world. Mayal. So that's the name of the third fantasy tree.
Wait a minute. Mayal. First Orochi, then Sombrero, then Mayal. So are you telling me that's what the fantasy tree actually is?
How dare you! Such impudence! To think this time you'd go all the way aiming for my own life. Now, that's a little harsh. Our beloved Gu-chan here isn't someone who will die and stay dead just because she's killed anyway. I don't think this is a grudge worth taking seriously, don't you? I guess this is where our alliance ends. Well, not surprising considering you betray us at some point anyway. Oh dear, can you just look at our agreement once more? What wasn't written in our agreement here? That I'd promise and be responsible in procuring the antidote made from the Fusang tree, since this involves my pride. Now, after Gouda dies here once and for all, I'll be sure to bring flowers and visit your graveyard.
Foe! Regardless of any thoughts coming from that vixen, it does not change the fact that you, Caldia, are the source of this chaos. Now that we have encountered each other here, I will respond with rooting out this chaos with all of my might. You are fine with this, yes? You?
Yes, Lord Zhang Yu. Master, here he comes!
Chat! The battle against Zhang Yu and you together was the hardest fight in this singularity by a long shot. It was incredibly unfair and difficult.
Got you, Zhang Yu! Such a machine like you! Outstanding, yet aloof. You've turned invincible after becoming the storm. However, such as a result, lies no companions exist around you to compete. Now curse the cruel fate of yours of being consistently the strongest. Zhang Yu! Like I let you keep pushing us around after our third time here. I'm the Knight of Treachery and Mordred's my name. I don't care whether you read the future. I'll just keep betraying those expectations of yours. Wait. Gu-chan? What do you think you're doing at this point? Why don't you just take off Mayal's camouflage and win the situation already? There's no reason for you to hold back anything at this point. You shut your damn mouth!
Just what is the commotion here?
No, Shi Huang, not right now.
Shi Huang, also Shi Huangdi. Both work. To think all of you would start trampling around the treasure palace everywhere just because I took my eyes off a little. How dare you? Looks like it'll take me not slight but a while to restart.
No, so Jing Ke, she... Now how would this story head since our Shi Huang is now here? The wheel will come full circle if Caldia reaches a compromise with our Emperor. Well, considering how there's little to gain from this Lostbelt anyway, I guess it's safe to just let this Lostbelt disappear into oblivion. Yes, it's way too late for all of this, but it is as you said. Akuta Hinako-san. As someone who joined hands with the alien god here, I'm definitely going through my job properly. I'll let the fantasy tree take up its task in destroying Caldia then. No, stop! That's... Now then, it's time to awaken, my all. Show them your sky in this narrow Lostbelt. The Fusang tree is breaking off.
Oh! It's a huge tree.
There's no mistake here, yes. That's the fantasy tree.
Expectations come true, but this...
Just what is this enormous size of a thing here? Just why would they keep this shriveled tree up to this point on the inside?
Jin Lang Yu told us before that the Fusang tree is a treasure repository that houses every life's mysteries. It was never possible to actually store such an enormous amount of info in just one tree to begin with. So to think the divine tree of the Xian world is actually folded into and kept within its individual dimension.
Analysis can come later. Shut up for now. Thanks to the space inconsistencies that even the gravity correction ended up distorted. Within the Fusang tree exists the omnipotent fantasy tree that sucks up a great amount of mana. It's already spread and rooted itself firmly into the ley line of this China without exposing itself to the outside world.
The Fusang tree. To think the divine tree supporting the harmony aspects of Qin ended up completely invaded from the inside. This fantasy tree, proving the mythology of possibilities. So that means... Don't tell me those delusional words spouted by Okuta and that Vixen were all truth.
Yes, this world is indeed the timeline designated for pruning. And the history where Caldia belonged to is no doubt the real and genuine pan-human history. The country that you've united, the dream of an eternal peace, sadly was nothing but a distant dream unobtainable. The history and your legacy that spanned 2,200 years over here were nothing but fairy tales. How do you feel now? Do you feel like kneeling down and holding your head in despair?
Oars. Chat, can we get some oars in chat? Feel like doing some dogezas? How stupid can you be? Pray tell me, at which point should I feel discouraged?
Huh?
Even if we are to talk about the natural conclusion of a supposed incorrect ideal state. The eternal Qin Empire still lies right here. It is the same as how one person could never decipher between a butterfly's dream and their actual oneself when dreaming. If the world too is in a dream state right now, then tell me, who could hand out a proper judgment and decide what is actually the reality? The world where I fell and my reign fell into a chaotic and degenerated state, or the prosperity world where Qin exists alive and well? I see now. It's like discerning whether I'm actually Lubu with this state changed into the red hair, the horse, or if I'm actually red hair under self-imposed thought thinking myself is Lubu. In other words, whichever being the truth no longer matters. Look, horse. We're having a serious conversation here, so can you please shut up?
Such a level of self-affirmation. No wonder I hate you so much. You're truly the exact definition of what a perfect human is. Well, duh. You're talking about the mentality of a person who sat on a throne for 2,200 years. That steadiness, that strictness, exactly like how the world tree would be.
Very well, then. The winner will be the one to return to the compiled phenomenon. Yes. I will crush all regardless and win this battle no matter how many branches or leaves are standing in my way.
So that's how it is. This is exactly what Gu-chan is afraid of. She realized that Shi Huangdi would definitely flip switches the moment he discovered that this world was being a target of the prune phenomenon. So, in order to not let that happen, she hid the fantasy tree until the very last moment.
Is that so? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? To think I, of all people, could get deceived just like that.
Dealing with an opponent of an omnipotent statesman who managed to turn into a monster would mean the moment of all carefully crafted lies, no matter how one would carefully craft it, will all be over instantly the moment it got exposed as a lie. So then she would just dismiss Chin if she's not trustworthy after telling him the truth. Therefore, she purposely hid all evidence that shows the true meaning behind all of those words, flipping over the scales of truth and lie. To think that you'd go all the way and not want this emperor to know the truth of the Lostbelt. But why? What's the reason behind wanting to so desperately stop the emperor's tracks here?
Oh!
Good grief.
Such helplessly foolish woman you are here. Do you really detest conflict so much? You realize that Zhang Yu would of course be once again drafted into this mess. Into this great war and struggle to gain the seat of the compiled phenomenon for this world. And thanks to that exact realization that you're putting up this fruitless struggle here. However, to think you would consent to allow this inevitable destruction to happen so long as you live your life peacefully as it is. Truly, this emotion you call love can really cause one to commit such extremely foolishness.
What? Oi!
Yes, this thing is gradually falling down.
Of course, I'm not going to show any mercy to such cowards and foolish wishes. From now on, this will be the battle to decide the future of humanity. But first, let us begin by having our inhuman guests step outside of this stage, shall we?
This is bad. We're definitely crashing. Now, who was the one that said earlier about how they won't go reckless about things?
Oh! Oh!
Ah, Maw. Is this what I get for knowing the true nature of this Lostbelt? To think that Gu-chan cared not about all of this and the first emperor got carried away because of it. This rough and tumble conflict is just too much for me, and there's nothing for me to even gain. Koyanskaya returning to office.
Goodbye, Chinese dress. You will be sorely missed.
Ah! She escaped!
Oh! Oh!
Don't bother anymore. Everyone evacuate now.
This fantasy tree Mayal, or whatever this is, allow me to bestow you my grace and protection. As the strongest and last guardian here, I will advent myself and step my foot onto this great land for once. No, wait! Just where are you planning to drop this thing to?
What was that?
Confirming the fall of Epang Palace. Is everyone okay? I was almost certain he'd be setting us up to get hurled away. I guess he missed the mark.
I'd be thankful if you can be thoughtful of your words here. Understand how magnanimous my compassion is and accept it with proper grace. O Pan-History, O Caldia, from now you will compete with me here about the proper and ideal state of human beings, and the direction on where the humans should properly head to. However, know that just by winning through pure quality and quantity ultimately does not conclude nor solve anything in the end. So you're telling us it's not just about protecting the Imperial Qin, but to also engage ourselves in a debate to the right to control the future as well.
What? Why of all times now would you begin to compromise at this time?
Fools! I am the Emperor, the one here who will always worry about the future of humanity more than anyone else. Indeed, I too had to look through the history of how Qin's human history ended up being the subject of pruning. However, I cannot, accept how asinine and invulnerable pan-human history is when they deny and discard any verified existence, just like that while moving the state of compiled phenomenon forward at the same time. History is meant to be weaved by humans' will, and it should never be decided just by mere coincidence. And so whoever ended up obtaining the rights to compiled phenomenon has to be someone stronger and more superior than ever.
Someone is coming out from the Epeng Palace. Is this a human?
Indeed. This form you are seeing here is the pinnacle of one human being, the one who manages to surpass death, yin and yang, and has reached the indestructible truth. The one and only pure one. In other words, it is I!
A humanoid?
That guy. Isn't he that large machine that existed before that looked like the Death Star? That's not even the biggest surprise here. What's more concerning is that his saintcraft is noble instead of strong. In the pan-human history, that level of saintcraft would fulfill the conditions of a grand. But still, why did he become a ruler? It is the ultimate result of verifying the method of reaching immortality in heaven, ascension through analyzing the Fusang tree. From the organism data collected by Akuta Hinako, and then putting them into practice through an incubation tank. I did not plan to actually utilize it at first, but I had a change of heart after the dialogue with Jing Ke. That your pan-human history, the history that you humans belong to, persistently compete merits and demerits about the human's ideal state. The ideal state of humanity? Would it the ultimate destination of a repose we seek for? Or is it standing side by side with destruction shall we see the possibility of growth? The whole discussion about which side of humanity is more suitable to remain in this compiled phenomenon Earth no longer bears any meaning. Therefore, the choice left is to talk with our fists. We punch things out and decide everything once and for all. I shall specially permit you to counter my fists with your strikes, and then the last to stand after this battle will be the one entrusted with the hope of the future.
The hope of the future.
Oh! Oh! I, who has reached the One. The lone and the absolute pure One. And in contrast, Gouda. You who came as one among the collective group of people. Whoever ends up the victor of this battle will be the one to stand against the next conflict of the world.
I don't think that there is any other clearer and better ruling here. Do you have any objections to this? Huh? What's up? What's this? You're surprisingly a reasonable person. Way above my expectations, aren't you?
Well, considering this is exactly the situation right now where we've reached the state of unacceptable here, and ended up rejecting each other as the result. But I'll agree wholeheartedly on this.
Pretty sure given if our military commander in our troubled times were to see this,
Will not ask for a better arbitration method here.
this is how a reign should be competed. Master, this...
Not for the sake of a hatred, but a battle for the sake to prove. If that's the case, our side will not back down as well.
That's right. We, the people of the Organization for the Preservation of the Human Order, Caldia. No. As a human being living on this earth, for our history, Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, we shall challenge you to a battle.
Good, good! That look in your eyes, that spirit to fight. This is something worth destroying with my own two hands. Now show me your best efforts, humans from the collective group. This power, I shall see through every aspect of it. Don't tell me. That strike just now, my knee was the first one to touch the ground.
Yes. I hope you understand now, Your Majesty the Emperor. If you actually fought with us with this holy coffin of yours, this battle wouldn't be fair at all. Even so, you actually challenged us with that human form of yours. Such a heavenly burden you bear on your shoulders, a spirit that's truly admirable. However, the results are now clear. You might be the pure one here, and yet your true nature lies in being a guardian. However, such a guardian job should be left to the gods, and humans are the ones who pioneer, no matter how ugly and foolish their nature may be. Ah, how surprising, and how astonishing it all is. Gouda, all the citizens in your world, no, the people, are they all as strong as you are? I don't know, but... even if it's not me, but for other people here, all of the heroic spirits over here would lend their hands and help you out as well. Ha! I wonder about that. Since idiots come in different shades and colors. But, well... if the idiot is someone like Gouda, then I'd be glad to help them out when the time comes, you know?
Yes, I definitely believe in humans like them. As you can see, I'm a horse.
Oh. I see. Even if you would fall one day, you never doubted that the next person like you would come along and pick up where you left off.
Foe! Foe!
If anyone were to be equipped with such sturdiness and cunningness, a collective form of beings known as the humans, the people, they may have the potential to overcome every obstacle and one day reach an endless future. Yes, we've all believed in this. And then there are people out there who believed in this.
Very well then. I shall bet on this.
I shall entrust the future of the compiled phenomenon to the people of the pan-human history. Show me what you can do and carry this prosperity successfully. Thank you very much. Although carrying out this prosperity successfully, it's easier said than done.
No, I will not acknowledge this.
Eh? General Zhang Yu?
Even if this is the conclusion the humans have come to, I will not acknowledge this, ever.
Are you telling me you are rejecting my decision here, Kuai-Ji Type 0?
I'm already no longer a subject of yours, Your Majesty. My loyalty, my companion, all of them, I commit only to you, Miao Yi.
Lord Zhang Yu.
My wife, you, determined and saw repose in this Lostbelt, this land of Qin. After a long, very long and almost endless years of wandering, she finally found her resting place, and I can never turn my back on this.
This guy, is he still gonna fight? How reckless! This body is no longer able to fight. It has to quickly go through maintenance for recovery. No! You mustn't do this, Lord Zhang Yu! You're already at your limits. There's no way that you can win this.
You're wrong. This body can still move. I will not let this fantasy tree tumble. The future of you, my first and ever wish, lies within the one and only tree branches here.
Zhang Yu has entered a battle stance, Master.
The rage and the wishes of the Zhang Yu of pan-human history could not achieve. I shall inherit and continue them. Just this once, not for the sake of supporting the reign, shall I take the spear up once more, all for the sake of this one woman. Come now, and witness the extremes of Zhang Yu! My final wish, ultimately unfulfilled.
Lord Zhang Yu!
Oh, my Yu. I'm going to leave you once again. I'm going to drive you again into this endless wandering. I can't grant you the rest that you wished. I wanted to live a quiet and peaceful life with you. However, my functions fell short in this. To think this, the thought of having my wish unfulfilled, would torment my chest so hard.
Zhang Yu,
My companion, your future slips away from my hands. Oh, my Yu, what lies in your fate?
Zhang Yu! Zhang Yu! Agata-san. You mustn't mash. No one has the right to console her right now. It's definitely impossible for any humans who are fated to actually die one day to empathize and share her pain. Such is the fate and destiny of the ones who are immortal, of those who live forever.
Foe. Foe.
Claudia. Qin Shi Huang. Pan-human history. Is this your plan on settling this once and for all? That you plan to pave the way and move forward with?
Even at this last moment, you would still stand against Caldia's way, O fairy.
I couldn't care less about this world of humans and how it would end up in the future right from the very beginning. What world gets pruned? What world gets compiled? Such matters don't concern me whatsoever. But now, just right now, humans are all I have in mind. That one ardent wish to hate you all. To curse you all, and to take revenge on you rotten humans. Saintcraft is expanding. What in the world?
It's correct to say that a true ancestor's real nature is an existence classified as a spirit. But to have an incarnated being like her to actually throw away her self-awareness...
Wait! This mana response emitting from the fantasy tree is rising. How is this possible? Is it actually absorbing Yu Miaoyi's Saintcraft?
To begin with, immortal fairies are something like a separated spirit, originated from the Fusang tree. If that something fantasy tree appeared and used the Fusang tree as a seeding bed, then it may be possible for her to possess it.
That's right! You think I'd allow you humans, who all came to this point, trampling on the sorrows of those inhuman beings just to move forward for your future? The inner mana of the fantasy tree is growing larger. I see it's beginning to wake up. It's coming for us.
Eh?
This isn't the time to grumble. Prepare yourself, Gouda. We've got no choice but to do this.
If she ends up indiscriminately cursing humans here, then she shall be my enemy as well.
Your Majesty?
Are you willing to lend us a hand? I am not obligated to lend my hand to you who managed to prove yourself and won me over. But this land is still Imperial Qin, and it is my domain, and I will not let such irreverence of seizing away the Fusang tree go unnoticed. Therefore, I shall grant you my support just for this one very little, this one very battle. You should be grateful.
Fall! Fall! Fall and die! This hatred, this curse, I shall now fill up every aspect of this fantasy tree as my offerings. Come at me! Come to me, my all, my origin, this carcass of this final Fusang tree. Pierce through the future of humans from this treetop of yours. Master, it's dangerous! The inner heat source emitted from the fantasy tree is rapidly rising, confirming a gravity fluctuation thought to be space-time distortion. In addition to that, an enormous gamma ray has been detected. This cosmic radiation response is... MASH, send the data coming from the Orthonaut's observation to me as well. What is this thing? A pseudo-form, a miniature, and it's connected. Oh, come on now. What is this? Whichever it is confirms only one thing now. That response is a galaxy. There's a galaxy existing within the fantasy tree.
Galaxy? You mean the galaxy cosmic? That's correct. This scale emitted is completely different from the fantasy tree coming from Russia and Scandinavia. It's a fantasy tree that is fully bloomed. The great hollow tree that the age of gods that is neither here but somewhere is connecting itself to the world yet not of ours. Rather, within that very tree lies the galaxy that we know. What kind of meaning it holds here is still currently unknown. But we don't have time to analyze it right now, since the very energy itself is baring its fangs at us. Continue this battle, Kuda. This thing is one existence we should never allow within this world.
Yes, let's do this, Mash. Understood, Master. Attack target. The hard source emitted from the core of the fantasy tree, 5,000 meters above us. Order. Lostbelt number 3. The final progress. Commencing the start of the final battle in this Chinese Lostbelt.
Yeah, that's about right. Remember, chat, death screams are basically the exact same as orgasm screams.
Mana response is falling off gradually. We've done it! But, Akata-san... that person knew that this would happen. Sympathized over how I'll end up a grudge and disappear as a vengeful spirit just like that. How foolish I was. And I even made him sigh again. Not once, but twice.
What? And I thought what kind of terminal repentance you would be thinking of here. Even if there is one easy solution to put an actual stop to Zhang Yu's sorrow over this matter.
Eh?
Zhang Yu fell into despair over how the future would end up. If that's the case, you have the choice right here to decide how Zhang Yu should end up, if you do not wish to see him fall further into despair.
What?
Become a heroic spirit, oh fairy. If it's you who closely resembles a spirit here, then you should be able to choose your own ideal conclusion. Switching to the side with the counterforce shouldn't pose any trouble to you after all, am I right? Wait, is that so?
It's true that there were situations where Gudo did strike a contract with various spirit class level existences before. Me, becoming a running dog for the counterforce? Of all things that you'd propose, you want me to become the guardian of those despicably rotten humans.
Certainly, it's something to be reluctant about, I know. But you see, that state was once a place Zhang Yu aspired with pride. If you would fulfill that exact same role he did before, then at the very least Zhang Yu would no longer have to bear the anxiety and sigh about your future. Do you need one more push? Okay then. Now think of it this way. You existed as someone who managed to see through Zhang Yu's truth to the very end. The truth that your history never managed to learn about it, yes? If you bring that knowledge to the throne, then there is a possibility that Zhang Yu will end up being acknowledged as the guardian of humanity as well.
If that were to happen, wouldn't that make a possibility of fulfilling your wish of reuniting with him that you never even thought of a possibility? Well, it's not an immediate decision to make. You can keep being a wraith for the time being and wander around the wild mountains. And take your time to consider about it while you're there. To think that you can convince a wraith through speeches. Just what do you think I am here? I am the Emperor. Reasoning with anyone and leading the people is my given duty. You could have chosen to collude with Consort You and protect that fantasy tree with all of your might. If it's all for the sake of protecting this world. That would be dirty. That would be truly dirty, as expected of a strategist here. It's true that if that fairy would just have revealed the existence of the fantasy tree earlier, I would have made that choice. But it was already after I had decided to abdicate and allow Gouda to take my role. And that decision will not be reversed. Considering a strategist's plans is no longer needed in this land, then our appearance will no longer be needed as well. Yeah, a strategist will always be somewhere whenever a battle looms around. In other words, since there's no battles here, I'll have to excuse myself as well. Gouda, we'll eventually have the pleasure of meeting each other again on another battlefield. You no longer need to fake any violence for a trial anymore. I will just acknowledge you as a lord worthy of my loyalty and serve you from the beginning. Well, it'll be really helpful if you could list out a proper name before summoning, if possible. As someone who had such vague memories while wondering what my own identity was, it indeed makes things hard to perform my job well. No, seriously, how many times do I have to tell you that you're red hair? Really? Eh? Really? I see. So it's time for everyone to return to the throne now. I'll stay with you guys until we get out from this Lostbelt. Since I'm a heroic spirit originally summoned from within the Shadow Border anyway. Really? I'm happy, Red Child. We can be together for just a little while. But if all heroic spirits summoned from the world itself started to retreat back to the throne, then that means that this world will soon. That isn't a problem where all of you should be concerned about. Is what anyone should say, but it seems no one, as in the people from the pan-human history here, have a clear-cut mentality, I suppose. Well, rest assured, as there will be no tragedy, nor pathetic scenes resulting from your concerns and worries. My subjects do not fear death nor destruction. Rather, they do not even understand fear nor despair to begin with. The subjects went through life as the result under my lead. Everyone sighs nothing, regrets nothing, and only live their day to day while anticipating tomorrow, just like what they have done yesterday and before. Even if the end days are eventually to come, their existences would just perish by sleeping through, just like that. That is exactly the Eden for which I strived, made reality, the world where all of my beloved subjects belong. Is that so? I've confirmed that cumulonimbus border has been completely eliminated, So this means the stack between the compiled phenomenons has been dissolved.
Oh, how auspicious. To see that those impudent clouds finally disappear from my sight. That means my territory is once again united into one. It is time to ascertain with the eyes of Chang Chen and examine all around this place. An excellent duty fulfilled, Caldia. I shall take all that all of you are very busy people, yes? Your Majesty. Move forward to the predicament of the new humanity. Do not ever forget the weight of the burden that you carry on both of your shoulders. Goodbye, Butterfly Man. Are? This is... Delivery statement. Antidote made from one Fusang tree, 1 portion. Delivered by NFF Service Customer Support Center. Receipt not required. Please note that all forms of exchange and goods returned from the customer will not be accepted. Thanks, Koyanskaya.
Hey? Koyanskaya invaded our shadow border when we weren't looking. When was it, and how?
Well, timing-wise, the only possibility I can think of is during our final battle with the Fantasy Tree, where our attention's fully focused in that battle. It's still a security level where one shouldn't be able to easily break through in such a short period, though.
That's true. Considering that we let her ride along with us since the technology agency up to the location of the Fusang tree, don't tell me that she took the chance to do something to the security key. Ah, whatever. More things and items to check before we start our imaginary numbers diving. There's no saying what other setups she left for us.
Well, if we are to allow invasion right in the midst of our decisive battle of all things, then it was possible for other further crafty sabotages to take place at any time. Even so, all she did was leave the antidote behind and left. That is likely due to the policy that she claimed to see it through. It should also be safe to say that there isn't any makeshift crafts done to this antidote either. And it's good enough to believe that she's a woman who sincerely deals things fair and square when it comes to contracts. Well then, I'll take those words to heart. Bottoms up.
Senpai, how do you feel?
Yeah, somewhat... I guess a little bit at ease?
Good. I told you not to worry. It looks like you're right to believe me here.
Yeah, it's understandable that you'd be in high spirits for this. And if our big guy here would learn to read the situation better, then our dear Gordolf would grow into an even further as a director.
Well, all's well that ends well. Even if it is just something minor like how everyone's alright now.
Yes, indeed. That's right.
What's wrong, Mash? Your face doesn't seem to be looking too good. Is there anything that's bothering you?
In the end, this is another world in which we...
Ah, yes. Well, that.
I understand that the history that ended up branched from this dead end with no future will be labeled as a prune phenomenon, and their only destiny left was to be destroyed. For both the first Lostbelt Russia, the second Lostbelt Scandinavia, and the cases where humans tried to survive in an environment far too harsh for them to handle. But in this third Lostbelt, it is indeed a very peaceful world. As long as we didn't interfere, it's possible that not a single one would have realized how unhappy they were. However, a tranquility that's too perfect is the same as reaching a dead end. And that too doesn't change the fact that it will still be considered as a dead end, and thus be labeled as a prune phenomenon. Yes. And here we can do nothing but judge, by the way, looking only at the conclusion. But Qin Lang Yu told us this before, that the Empire of Qin is the result grasped from people who fought for their ideals, through many bloodsheds. If that's the case, we may one day see the day where our battles and our efforts are get denied too. And that thought came to me. Well, I can't say it's impossible for that to happen. A prune phenomenon isn't something that's brought through anyone's evil plot or mistake. However, the end result of how it turned out to be that way is everything here. Even if we are to fight with our very best, while holding our beliefs through, and we may soon realize that a diverging point where we may call it the pan-human history might appear some elsewhere, and this time it could be us who will get left behind. When something like that happens, I pray that we'll be equipped with the courage similar to his resolution made by the Emperor of Qin.
Possibilities are endless is a statement that humans would like to speak like it's a blessing. And yet they wouldn't realize that the meaning behind those words lie a trap. No matter how possibility itself can be endless in numbers, the results are actually finite no matter what. And the diversity of choices increase the pressure of selections that come eventually.
It's difficult. It's a very difficult problem here. Just how smart do we all have to be so that we'll be able to find out the right answer without any hesitation?
If such a day were to become real, then we would have quit being human and become as gods. As long as human beings are humans, the answer is something that we will have to find with our own two hands. That is, from within its infinite possibilities.
This is the Wandering Sea Caldia base. I'm now here to confirm that the storm wall that was covering up the Chinese Lostbelt has been eliminated. Is it possible to initiate communications right now? Can anyone else hear my voice?
Communications from Shion! Hey, we can hear you!
Excellent! Thank you for your energetic response. I'm assured that all the missions are now cleared from the response emitted by our wonderful master here. Good job, everyone. I know that everyone would like to enjoy some hot showers right away, right? In that case, move the border just like that and head west for about 10 kilometers. Captain will be heading there. Once meeting up with Captain, we will initiate imaginary number dive right away. We better get ourselves back to the Wandering Sea before the cryptors find us out.
Well, indeed, I'd like to have a victory massage right away, but is it true that we can get back to that base so easily?
Of course. As long as there isn't any Lostbelt gravitational field hindering us, it's easy peasy with my calculations and the Captain's diving ability. But still, this applies only for the round trip here, so bear with it. So just think of it as riding a shuttle bus going back and forth.
So this is going to be helpful. I mean, honestly, it makes me anxious just thinking of driving them from back here to the Wandering Sea.
Yes, of course. We don't have much time to waste either, considering the next order is waiting for us here.
Hey, the next?
What do you mean, Shion? It's still far too early for us to make a move on the Atlantic Lostbelt, right? That's a no-no. Rather, I found out that it's impossible to do so at our current level. Like they say, more haste, less speed. Clothes make the man, spare the rod and spoil the child. And I realized that we would require something from them for our next operation. Once everyone's had a good rest, we'll be heading to our next Lostbelt. The next order name will be Lostbelt number 4. A mysterious Lostbelt with a repetition of expansion and convergence will be our next move to make. And then there will be one more who will join along for the journey. That's right. Bring along the mysterious servant, the captain, and head on to the dazzling world of the India mythology.
Hey, will we be fine if we get out of this cave now?
I mean, that's what the person in white clothes told us. That we no longer need to worry and it's safe to come out now, you see?
What a mysterious-looking person. He looked somehow similar to those group of guys from Koldia.
The moon lingers on as I sing. My shadow falters as I dance. As long as I know, we were boon companions. And then I was drunk and we lost one another.
Oh, a poem about admiring the moon, I see. Yes, what a nice thing to behold.
A poem's a really beautiful thing. It's like you're looking up to the moon and you can admire it at any time and anywhere.
That reminds me where I was made to hear many poems dedicated to praise me during my days in Zhanyang. Well, I suppose I was happily listening during those times. Good grief. It would be nice to have someone to compose at least a poem about the moon and let me hear them once in a while.
And who are you? Oni-san? One-san?
Me? You see, I am the son of heaven.
The son of heaven, Sama? That's impossible. But I heard that the son of heaven sits above the sky. He'd always be above all of us for us to look up to. But now you're on the same height as us. You're the same as us, standing on the same ground.
Ah, and I am a human. Someone who owns the heaven walking on this great land, just like you all. And from now on, I have decided to stay alongside all of you like this, until the end of this world. As long as I knew, we were boon companions. And then I was drunk and we lost one another. Shall goodwill ever be secure? I watched the long road of the River of Stars. Lostbelt number 3, the land of unified knowledge. Sin. Cosmos Denial. And there was Lostbelt 3, chat. It's amazing how I translate so fast. Yeah, it's almost like I've got a bunch of notes that I translated months in advance or something like that. But that would be... no, that's impossible. How did you enjoy Lostbelt 3, everybody? I'm a little surprised there was less butchering from Udo Butcher than I expected. I was expecting at least one main cast character to be murdered brutally.
But, well-written story. The way that all the characters were presented. Even the Emperor. The Emperor was presented as a very fair person, despite being a tyrant. Jing Ke got murdered brutally? I said main cast. That includes Gouda, Mash, Holmes, Da Vinci, Foe. Shion now exists for that as well. But it did have definitely feels. Big feels. Really well done. Really well done. So, thank you all very much for watching the Lostbelt 3 story. For those of you that are watching on VOD, thank you for checking out the VODs. I hope you enjoyed them. Thanks for supporting me and everything. I'm glad you enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next story, which is probably coming out relatively soon. Sorry for my incredibly bad voice acting, but you're just gonna have to deal with it. Get wrecked.